Algebra 2, Lesson 2.2, we're going to be solving various types of equations. The first type of equation we're going to be looking at is a proportion. First definition, ratio. Ratio compares two numbers by division. And then once we set two ratios equal to each other, it becomes a proportion. And we solve proportions by cross multiplying. A times D is AD, and that equals B times C, and we can solve from there. So our first example, we're going to take 15 times 7, 105, equals 2x times 2.5. That's going to be 5x. And now it's just a one-step equation, so we're going to divide both sides by 5. And we get 21 for x. Example B is pretty much going to be the same thing. The only thing we want to make sure we are careful about are the tops here, because it's a quantity, we have to put them in parentheses. So now we can cross multiply. Negative 2 times 2x minus 3 equals 2 times 3x minus 2. Now we can distribute. So negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x plus 6. 2 times 3x is 6x, and 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. First thing I want to do is get the x's together, and I'm always going to move the smaller one first. That way I'm more likely to be dealing with positive numbers. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides, and if I'm bringing the variables to the right, I want to move the numbers to the left. 10 equals 10x, and then our final step is to divide both sides by 10. X equals 1. The next example is solving equations involving percents, and there's two ways to do this, and I prefer the first way. The first way is setting it up as a proportion, cross-multiplying and solving. The reason I like this the best is because percents are always out of 100, so right there that gives you half the equation. If you know the percent, you put it over 100. If you don't, that's where your variable goes. And then since percents are based out of 100, that's the entire thing. We know that the entire thing is going to go on the bottom on the other side. And percents are usually a fraction of a whole number, and that's why it's going to be the part on top over here. So once we know that, we just can set it up, cross multiply and solve. Or you can try and use this format here, where the whole entire number times the percent as a decimal equals the part. Either way is fine, you'll get the same answer either way. I just prefer method 1. So here we've got taking a poll, and 22.5% of the voters plan to vote for a certain candidate, and 1,800 voters participated in the poll, and how many indicated they plan to vote for that candidate. So we know right away that the percent is going to be out of 100. Right, and it says that 1,800 voters participated in the poll, so we know that that's our total number of voters that participated, and the only thing we don't know is how many voted for a certain candidate. We do know that it's 22.5%, but we don't know the total. So now from here we're going to cross multiply and solve. So after we cross multiply, now all I have to do is solve for x. We divide both sides by 100, and then we get x equals 405. That means that 405 voters voted for a certain candidate. The next problem says at Clay High School, 434 students, or 35%. So right there, that tells us that the 35%, put that out of 100, it says that the 434 students is 35%. So we know those have to go on the same line. So over here we're going to have 434. So the only place for the variable to go is down here. And if you look at the problem, it asks how many students does Clay High School have. So now we got to cross multiply. 35 times x equals 100 times 434. Now we divide both sides by 35, and x equals 1,240 students at Clay High School. Example 5, we are going to do some application problems, and these are going to be more proportions. And I think the key with these problems is going to be drawing an accurate picture. So the first thing we have is a tree in front of Luca's house casts a 6-foot shadow. And at the same time, the house casts a 22-foot shadow. Let me add the extra O there for foot. If the tree is 9 feet tall, how tall is the house? Alright, so you can see here that 9 and x both refer to the side of the house, and 6 and 22 both refer to the base or the shadow of the house. So we can set up our proportion. We've got 9 and x are going to be on the same line, and 6 and 22 are going to be on the same line. So we have 6x equals 22 times 9. Then we're going to divide both sides by 6, and we get x equals 33 feet. So the house is 33 feet tall. Example 5b, again we want to draw a nice picture. So a 6-foot tall climber casts a 20-foot long shadow at the same time that a tree casts a 90-foot long shadow. So you have a tree casting a 90-foot shadow, and they want to know how tall the tree is. And then you have a 6-foot tall hiker casting a 20-foot shadow. I'm pretty good at drawing, so you're welcome for the nice picture. And now we can set up our proportion. The x and the 6 go together, and the 90 and the 20 go together. So x over 90 equals 6 over 20. And now we can cross multiply. 20x equals 90 times 6 is 540. Divide both sides by 20. X equals 27 feet. The tree is 27 feet tall. Alright, that's it for this lesson. Good luck with your homework. Quiz tomorrow.